Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring a pretty fascinating theme, the craft versus the canvas. You see, the timeless goals of editing, correcting grammar, improving clarity, ensuring absolute consistency, none of those have actually changed. But our modern environment, well, it demands a completely new strategy. We're no longer just marking up paper with a red pen, we are mastering a digital domain. So how exactly do we adapt our traditional craft to this glowing, scrolling canvas? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Okay, let's dive into this. You can think of our agenda today just like a document's navigation pane, giving us that high-level structural overview every editor needs. We'll cover 1. The digital editing era, 2. Your essential software toolkit, 3. Navigating on-screen challenges, 4. The 3-pass workflow, and 5. Final editing pro tips. All right, starting with Section 1, the digital editing era. Before we get to the really advanced techniques, we need to establish the core terminology we'll be dissecting today.
So, soft copy editing, which is also commonly called on-screen editing, is exactly what it sounds like, editing a document directly on a computer monitor. And let's be clear, this isn't just some passing trend. It is the absolute industry standard. Proficiency here is literally fundamental. It requires us to take all those traditional grammar and clarity skills and completely adapt them to an environment filled with really unique digital tools, but also some brand new pitfalls.
That brings us to Section 2, your essential software toolkit. And I have a question for you right off the bat. Are you truly leveraging the built-in power of your word processors, or are you just using them as glorified typewriters? Let's look at the tools you absolutely need to master.
Let's start with revision tracking. Whether you're using track changes in Microsoft Word or suggesting mode in Google Docs, this is arguably the most critical feature in your entire toolkit. Why? Because it highlights every single insertion, deletion, and formatting change you make. This isn't just about you making edits in a vacuum. It's about collaboration. It allows the author to clearly see and then actively approve or reject every single change you've suggested.
Next up is the incredibly powerful Find and Replace tool. This is an absolute lifesaver for standardizing things like hyphenation. Say you need to change every single instance of email to email across a massive 200-page manuscript, but it comes with a major warning label. So the crucial point is this: always use the find function first before you ever click Replace All. If you don't, you might end up changing terms you never intended to, which creates a massive headache for both yourself and the author.
Consider this incredibly powerful insight. Verifying and correcting the use of styles is the soft copy equivalent of structural markup in a hard copy. Built-in styles, like heading 1 or normal, provide the actual skeletal framework of your document. When you use them properly, they ensure total visual consistency, they automatically generate your tables of contents, and most importantly, they are completely vital for screen reader accessibility, which relies on these very styles to understand the document's hierarchy.
Moving on to Section 3, navigating on-screen challenges. You see, it's not all just time-saving tools and magic buttons. We really need to explore the very real physiological and psychological toll that the digital canvas takes on our bodies and our minds.
Have you ever actually suffered from any of these physical symptoms after a long editing session? The headaches, blurred vision, dry eyes? Staring at the high contrast of text against a bright background for hours causes severe digital eye strain. To combat this, you really can't just push through the pain. You have to take regular breaks, aggressively adjust your monitor's brightness and contrast, and ensure you're using a comfortable font size.
Then there's the psychological challenge, the loss of context. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between mediums. With a hard copy, you can just flip back and forth, easily seeing the macro flow and tone. But on a computer monitor, we get terrible tunnel vision. We focus entirely on these microscopic grammar details, like a misplaced comma or a slight spelling error, and we completely lose sight of major logical gaps in the argument. The fix here? You need to intentionally zoom out, use split-screen views, or review the document section by section just to maintain your perspective.
Finally, we have the most insidious challenge of all, the temptation to rush. Because we can just highlight and delete a whole paragraph with a single keystroke, we feel incredibly fast. But that sheer speed and ease of making changes creates dangerous overconfidence. Rushing directly increases your chance of making glaring errors. Beating this temptation requires a highly disciplined solution.
And that solution is in Section 4, the 3-pass workflow. This is literally the ultimate chronological workflow to conquer those digital challenges we just talked about. And it all starts the exact moment you sit down at your desk.
Before you read a single word, you absolutely must set up your workspace. Position your monitor at a comfortable height and distance. Adjust your font size and color scheme for maximum readability. If your application supports it, utilize a tinted background or dark mode. This step is entirely about minimizing that digital eye strain so you can actually maintain your focus for the long haul.
Once you're comfortable, you begin the 3-pass system. The biggest rule here, do not try to fix everything in one go. A successful soft copy workflow involves multiple, distinct reads, each with a completely different focus. Intentionally pausing between these passes helps you stay careful, allowing you to catch mistakes you would otherwise rush right past.
Your first pass is the macro level. Here, you're reading the document for its overall flow, its overarching structure, and the general tone. And here's the tough part. You have to train your brain to completely ignore typos at this stage. Your goal right now is broad and expansive. You're hunting for big structural issues, logical gaps, repetitive information, and major inconsistencies in the argument.
Now, for the second pass, we zoom in slightly for the line level edit. Here, we move a bit faster, focusing sharply on clarity and conciseness. This is where you reword awkward sentences and really tighten up the word choice. Actually, this is also the perfect time to use your software's comment function. Instead of rewriting an author's complex thought entirely yourself, leave a concise, constructive comment suggesting an alternative, less awkward phrasing.
Finally, the third pass, the proofreading pass. This is the microscopic level. You are hunting down typos, punctuation errors, and spelling mistakes. This is the exact moment in your workflow where you deploy that find and replace feature we talked about earlier to guarantee total consistency across the entire document. It's a highly meticulous, clipped process where precision is absolutely everything. All right, moving into Section 5, Final Editing Pro Tips. As we near the end of our explainer, I want to leave you with a few expert-level strategies that perfectly round out your modern digital workflow. Let's move to and see how this builds your efficiency. Keyboard shortcuts, things like Ctrl-Z to undo, Ctrl-F to find, or Ctrl-S to save, literally save you seconds that add up to hours over a year. Then there are macros. If you find yourself doing the exact same sequence of formatting edits over and over again, you can actually record that sequence and replay it with just one click. Automating your workflow like this frees up your mental energy for the actual heavy lifting editing.
And for our final tip, while sometimes the absolute best digital editing trick is to briefly abandon the digital canvas altogether. If you're dealing with a highly complex or really difficult text, just print it out. Holding a physical copy offers a completely fresh perspective, naturally breaking that digital tunnel vision and making it incredibly easy to spot hidden errors that you kept just glazing over on your monitor.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up this explainer. Is the speed of digital editing tools a modern editor's greatest asset or their biggest liability if left unchecked? The reality is, it's kind of both. The digital canvas offers incredible tools, but it absolutely tempts us to rush. Mastering soft copy editing requires immense discipline, like strictly following that 3-pass workflow, to perfectly balance the sheer speed of the software with the timeless, meticulous quality of the craft. Thanks for joining me, and happy editing.